Ladies and gentlemen, we're currently observing a pullback across all of the markets. Is this current pullback enough to sustain the continuation for ICP for a possible wave 3 of the primary degree in yellow to the upside? That is what we're going to discuss in this video. If you haven't already, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Please do make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and you're new, and also make sure to hit that like button to help support the XForceGlobal channel. Just another quick reminder, none of this is financial advice, so please take everything with a grain of salt, as everything is for educational purposes only. So throughout the past few months, I've been constantly monitoring ICP, and it's recently grabbed my attention again, especially being stopped out around the $20 levels during that bear market, and I haven't looked at it ever since. So in my opinion, after this recent move up and this recent pullback that we had, in my opinion, I believe it is another very good possibility for ICP to continue to further upside levels just based on the current data given. And we may have a protected low in place if we get a clear controlled pullback in a three-wave fashion for this intermediate wave 2, and that we may be working in an extension for that primary wave 3. As long as this protected low comes into play where this red line cannot be breached, because anything breaching that will invalidate this wave 2 of the primary degree. Now, the most important question is, how in the heck are we seeing a possible wave 3 target at around $160 per ICP? Now, for price projections, we utilize Fibonacci to our advantage that we use to predict potential levels of support and resistances in the future based on Fibonacci sequences. It helps us to identify how far a price might move after a retracement has occurred, and it gives us potential target areas depending on which pivotal areas that you have assumed complete. So with that being said, the Fibonacci ratio, such as the 1.618 as a very common target for a wave 3, the 2.618 and so forth are among some of the common targets for a wave 3. In this case, these levels over here are derived from the Fibonacci sequence, where each number is a sum of the two preceding ones. So in order to achieve that possible 1.618, this level here where we had the origin of wave 1 is now going to be the beginning of that pivotal point for that Fibonacci trend extension. We take that, and then we take the termination of wave 1, and then we take the pivot of wave 2 and the termination of wave 2, and then we assumed possibly this being the wave 3 target based on that Fibonacci sequence and extension target. So if that's the case, we're looking for a possible 140 per ICP, or even further depending on how far it goes. Right now, we just simply do not know. But for now, right now, as we have assumed this wave 2 of the primary degree has been completed, all we're doing is now trying to figure out how this local time frame is going to be playing out. So everything is still going in accordance to the narrative. All we have to do is make sure to get this protected low out of place, and we get out of here as soon as possible. So one of the main conservative targets that we're looking for is this 100% level based on the Fibonacci target. Again, that's going to be equal in length to this length here. That is the absolute minimum target that we're looking for, and we take the pivot of wave 2. We're looking at a possible 6x right there alone, just based on that, and that's a pretty good target to even take profits as a conservative, the person who wants to take targets, right? But if you're looking for wave 3 targets, if you know the Elliott Wave Theory and know how to utilize your Fibonacci sequences, and based on that Fibonacci extension tool, we have that ideal target of a wave 3 going into those regions. And since our wave 1 was very clean as a 5-wave move going into a wave 1, and we had a very clean wave 2 pullback, and we had a pretty good extension equality based on this wave W and this partner like wave Y, we're looking for this to be a continuation of fractal natures on the smaller time frames. So this wave 1, 2 of the intermediate degree in orange is going to be the working in that extension wave 3, and we need to be building 5 waves in that wave 3. Now again, wave 1, 2 can also be alternatively known as a flat, where we have a 3, 3, 5, where this beginning move is going to be the wave A, this 3-way move into a B, and then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, where wave 5 is extended to complete our wave C as well. So those are both similar ways of how we can see this wave 1, 2 has completed. And that reason alone, since we have 2 sequences or 2 possibilities of ideas, being a completed bottom, gives us a little bit more confidence that this may be a continuation of a play to the upside. So all we're doing now, ladies and gentlemen, Like I said, since we're looking for a wave 2, again, remember wave 2s or wave 4s, Bs and Xs. In this case, since we're working for a wave 2, it can be any corrective pattern other than a triangle. So in this case, we're looking at for the most basic pattern of an ABC, as that is going to be the very basic pattern that we're going to be looking for. But again, it could turn into a complex structure. But like we had for this larger wave 1, 2, where we created more multiple zigzags, ABC, a triangle, and an ABC, that is what we're going to be looking for similarly in the smaller time frames. So that's kind of my way of interpreting the overall move for ICP, ladies and gentlemen. The absolute minimum conservative target is going to be this 100% Fibonacci level based on this partner leg here. And again, since we have the 100% zone being a partner potential leg, that also puts us into a potential possibility of this being a wave A and a wave B, since this is a hybrid actionary wave, meaning that 5 waves can lead us into a wave 1 or a wave A, and then this controlled pullback could be either a wave 2 or a wave B. And in that case, wave C targets, common targets in that case, is going to be this 100% level. That's why we have to be conservative and take that risk management approach. So there is that risk management strategy that we have to take into place. But if everything is aligning and we see a lot of strength and this moves in a very straight fashion, more possibly parabolically, then we know that it's going to be a possible continuation to the upside, and it can end anywhere between the 100% or the 161.8% zone, this being a potential target. So that gives us a very wide football target that the football could go into the goal. So ladies and gentlemen, hopefully that was helpful. In my opinion, I still do believe with this wave 2 pullback could be a very good potential move to the upside, a possible 5 to 10x. And again, even with that conservative target with this wave 2 controlled pullback, could be anywhere around 400 to 500% alone based on that target. Hopefully that was helpful. I'll see you guys in the next video on Monday. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day.